Hi, I'm Amber. Follow along with me as I sew my way to a completely vintage-inspired wardrobe. Today we're going to start work on the coat that I have been talking about doing for over a year now, and I have finally gone ahead and washed the wool, gotten it cut out, and ready to sew together. So for today's video, we're just going to go over the cutting and some of the tips that I have for the fabrics that I use. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I want to go over are some of the tips that I have for working with wool. This isn't the first time that I've worked with wool, although I haven't done a ton of projects with this material. But I will say that when you have a thicker material like wool, you are going to run into some problems that you maybe don't with other materials. And the first thing is, I can't use a rotary cutter successfully on thicker materials. People who've been sewing for a long time, this is something that you learn, but if you are just starting out, it's something that you're going to want to take into consideration. So you are going to have to use your shears to be able to cut out your pattern pieces. And one of the biggest things that I will say about that is make sure that your shears are good and sharp. Otherwise, it's going to take you much longer and it will be very frustrating for you. Another tip that I have is to use these pattern weights. You can see them sitting on top of the pattern pieces here. And I prefer this because it doesn't warp the pattern piece like it would if you had them pinned in place. And I will do something in the future to show what I'm talking about, but this works out perfectly for me. And I think that it just does a much better job. So for this project, I decided that I was going to use faux fur for the front facing. So you're going to see me cutting out this faux fur. Now I have worked with this a couple of times, so you can see what I've done here is with the pattern piece, I have it laid on the wrong side. So I am not cutting through the faux fur. This is a tip for people who have never used this material before. It sheds and it can be a real mess for you. So the best thing that I can say to do is what you're seeing in the video here. Just lay it out. You can trace it on with tailor's chalk if you prefer to do that. I could not find my tailor's chalk, so I just put pins along the edge of where my pattern piece was to just kind of anchor it in place a little bit and then just cut around. This is going to limit how much you have left over as far as, stuff that you have to clean up from the faux fur being trimmed. The other thing that I should say about this is you can see that I have flipped this piece, and so that way you're going to have your pieces will match the front of your project. And the last tip that I have as far as cutting out for this project is this is the lining. Now, obviously it's patterned, so that can be a little scary for some people who have never worked with patterns before. But as you can see, I've matched the grain line up to the pattern underneath. And this is just my first piece. So I cut the first piece out, and then I'm going to match every piece to my first piece afterwards. And you're going to be able to see here where I have matched it up. So this is the first piece that I've cut out that's laid on top of the fabric, and I am just matching up the pattern so that when I sew it together, it is going to come together evenly. Now later on when I continue to work on the project, I'll keep showing you the progress of this, but I'm just showing you here how I am laying out these pieces to cut them out so that they're going to work together later on. And that's about it for this video. Leave any questions for me in the comments, and make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can be alerted every time that I update with new projects. See you next time.